Hey guys, Dana Lachu. I hope everything is good. Everybody's doing fine. I hope everyone is making billions of dollars, and of course have their health. That's the main thing. And so today I'm going to talk about racism. Okay, but not in the way most people talk about it. So of course all my videos are very controversial, but I would argue they are actually correct, or I will debate anyone going against my videos with my evidence, and I will invite the others to bring their evidence, and I'm confident enough to say that I'm right. Okay, so a lot of the times we approach racism in a way that, oh, it's bad, blah blah blah, but racism is very natural. Okay, for example, if you meet a girl, you marry her, whatever, then you two decide to have children. This may be that even before you get children, you've already pre-planned, oh, with your genes and my genes, we're gonna have the best looking kids in the world, because whatever, so all of a sudden these two, boys and girl, get together to produce the best human being possible. So that means that they believe their genes combined is better than anyone else's gene. So that's racism. Racism starts right there, because you believe that your gene, is better than others. So that's where it is. So already you believe that you're gonna give presence to a child that is far more intelligent, far better physically, far other in sports or looks, whatever it is, but you believe your child is better because of you have the genes to prove it. And that's every human being. So of course nobody is trying to produce the worst child. So we don't look at that as racism, but it is, because the definition of racism is to believe that you are better than the other because you have better genes. You're superior to the other. So it's your race. Your race comes from genes, right? And I'm not talking about Levi's genes either. Genetically, you're better. You're gonna produce better. Yeah, you get the point. So now I'm gonna switch up to black people in America, and of course, they have been mistreated, and nobody's gonna deny that, right? That's really what we talk about when we talk about racism. But we don't talk about racism amongst black people, and how black people themselves are racist towards each other. In fact, it actually perpetuates racism. And it's funny, because I was listening to this female comedian, and she presented it perfectly. And she said she's a waitress in this very high level restaurant, fancy restaurant, and all she serves is white people. And then once in a while she sees black people coming in, she gets very emotional, and she gets even a better treatment to her people. Finally some black people coming in, so she's it's like family members coming in. She's putting her best foot forward, to make sure that they get what they want and stuff like that. And so in this particular time that she was describing, 17 black people came in to the restaurant, and all of a sudden she got them seated, blah blah blah, and she said that they were very picky. They complained about everything, but somehow she attended to their needs, stuff like that. And when it was time to leave, they requested 17 different checks, and then I mean, some requested food to go, and then when it was time to tip, they didn't give her any tip, and they left. So imagine a waitress having to calculate for 70 different checks. It's like she was running one table, but she was like running 17 different tables. Because these guys don't have a unity amongst themselves, she couldn't even attend to the other tables. So when the 17 black people left, she turned around to her manager, white manager, and said, what do you allow black people in here? So so she turned out to act like what a white person would say, but the condition forced her to, the conditions, so black people mistreat black people. That's what the joke was about. And then because black people mistreat their own people turn around and be racist towards them, and it perpetuates. It's like a water boiling. The water goes down to the bottom of the saucepan, and then when the heat, and then it goes back up. So it's endless, and that's what it is. And that's what she was. But she described that in a joking manner. It was funny, but it actually is true, and also it affects the way people vote. The same thing with Dave Chappelle. He was saying that black people this, yeah, black people. But then he said, you know what? I found myself being racist against my own self. He said, because if Santa Claus was black, I know I would never get my my gift. And this is one of his best jokes. But it recognizes something that makes how black people, not all, of course. This is all generalized, of course, and but it just goes to show that it's not only the white element here. There is something that keeps the racism alive within the black community. Forget about the other races and so on. And it's the same thing for every other race, compartmentally when you go. So that's that. And I thought that was really interesting, because when the 17 people left the restaurant, they left her with hatred towards them. She doesn't want to deal with them anymore. And I could imagine how the 17 black people felt in their experience. They thought they did good. Like, we went to a nice restaurant. We didn't care whether the waitress was black or not. It didn't matter. They got to eat where they wanted to eat, an expensive place. So they had a good time. But 17 people, just think about it. They could have tipped her. 50 cents each. 17 people. They could have really left her with something. But they chose on purpose not to do that, because they have no respect. They didn't even look at her as one of their own, while she looked at them as family. So the racism, she has positive racism towards them, and they gave her negative racism. There's actually positive and negative in everything you do. So that's that. And then I moved towards to Whoopi Goldberg and her suspension and so on and so forth. I thought Whoopi has a very good opportunity now to open the debate, because being a Jew has nothing to do with race. When first of all, the word Jew is Yehuda, And the first time it appears in the Bible, it's not when Leah gave birth to Yehuda. It actually firstly it appeared in when Esau gets married to Judith. Yehudit. Yehudit is so that's the first time it appears. But anyway, the definition of Yehuda is to praise God. She gives him this name because she praises God. So it has the link is here is the praising of God. So it's faith. That's the main. It's not race. So for example, Abraham is not an Israeli. He's not of Israel. He's a Hebrew by race. He's a Jew by religion, by faith. Same thing with Isaac. Isaac is a Hebrew by race, Jew by religion, but he's not of Israel. Jacob is Hebrew by race. He's Jew by religion, and he's the first Israel. He's the one whose name was changed to Israel, and the children of his children became children of Israel, children of Jacob. So that's that. So being a Jew is not. You could be a Jew and not be of Israel, because you know we just proved it. We just proved it in this example I just gave. So by her saying that the Nazi Germany had to go through a much deeper thing than race to go to discriminate against some faith, she's right. Where I differ with her is that the people who actually died in the Holocaust cannot be put in the same category as Jew as it was in the Bible, because the people who died in the Holocaust are people who are related to the Pharisees, the rabbis, Rabbinic Judaism. Rabbinic Judaism is not the Judaism you find in the Bible. In the Bible, you have a Levite priest who indoctrinate people into Judaism, which is he educates you with faith. Then you have circumcision, then the law, and all that. That's the Levite priest who does that. He's ordained by God to do that. He has everlasting priesthood. That's in the Bible. Now, who eliminated those priests, the Levite priests, is the Rabbinic Jews. So they're actually the terrorists, because they went in and killed the priests and the prophet. They stole the seat of Moses, as it is mentioned in the New Testament. So they slaughtered, and this is mentioned in the Old and the New, that they actually killed the priests and the prophets to claim the house of God. So, and Jesus himself says in the New Testament, your ancestors, you Pharisees and scribes, your ancestors have killed my prophets and my priests at the altar. And that's when they decided to crucify him. So that's against the law that's not doing the law, that's against the law, to actually go and kill the prophets. You can't be a Jew and kill the prophets of Jews, of God. You cannot kill the prophets of God and claim yourself to be Jews. It's just not what it is. So, and then claim to believe in the Torah and all that stuff. When the Torah itself points at you, saying that you have killed the prophets and the priests at the altar. And this is the Old Testament and the New Testament. And if you go to even further, if you go to the Talmud, it is said that they did kill Jesus and also the prophets. So it's not even denied. So that's where I would differ. But either way, being a Jew is linked to the faith, not to a race. So So Whoopi Goldberg didn't make any mistake at all. She shouldn't even apologize. She said the right things. Now, has it offended? Why are they offended? Well, I would imagine because this thing has to be debated further with evidence, because it is true in the book itself that, say for example, I go into a place of worship of any kind of religion. I go there, kill all the religious leaders on the spot, and claim the house that of their place of worship. Would that make me of their religion? No, it would make me their enemy, not of their religion. So for example, if I go to a Roman Catholic church and I go and kill all the priests, would that make me a Roman Catholic? No, of course not. That would make me an enemy of the Roman Catholic Church. It wouldn't make me a Roman Catholic believer or even a leader. So just think of it that way. You have Levite priests and prophets who are the source of Judaism, and then you have these people who came in and just killed them and took over and hijacked the religion and say, now we the ones who are Jews. And you can read Ezra, the book of Ezra, chapter 2, verse 59, when the king had to gather all the Jews because God had summoned him to do so in his dream, to rebuild the temple. He had to count all of them and make sure that they are of Israel. In chapter 2, verse 59, he says, but these guys here could not prove that they were of Israel. And then chapter 3 and 4, you can see that they go against the people of Israel to build in fact, they stopped the construction of the temple. Which leads us back to Jesus. He said, I could destroy this temple and rebuild this in 3 days. They laughed at him. They said, do you know how long it took to build this thing? And then he told them, your ancestors, the very people who stopped the construction of this temple. So now when he reminded them of who they are, that was the decision they made before the Shabbat starts to eliminate them. So this is not Judaism. This is not Judaism. This is not being a Jew. So Whoopi Goldberg, however uneducated she might be on Judaism, if you think that rabbinic Judaism is not in the Bible anyway. But she thought maybe that's what it was, and then now, by being loyal to them for her marriage or whatever, they turn against her and penalize her for what she said. When in fact, if debated, she would win the debate. Peace.